One of the really nice touches that I quite liked in this show was that when you meet Kevin, I will elaborate on him later on in the review, but we meet Kevin and we figure out who Kevin is meant to represent. I just thought it was a really nice touch that they gave him his own little hat. Like, yeah, sure, it didn't completely resolve some of this show and its flaws, but it was a cute little wink.
Being a superhero is a trial by fire. Who's gonna protect the world if not people like you?
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my channel and time for another episode of Luke's TV Reviews. Marvel are pumping out content like it's a DFS sale every single day because we've got something new. And this time around, things are turning green for She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. When we first meet Jennifer Walters, she's a down-on-her-luck lawyer waiting for her next opportunity to come around. Well, opportunity does find her, just not in the way she'd imagined. She suffers an accident along with her cousin, Bruce Banner, aka the Incredible Hulk, and when her blood is contaminated with Bruce's, she too develops the ability to transform into a giant green rage monster, which subsequently proves to have its troubles when trying to be a successful lawyer. She-Hulk has been airing for 9 weeks now, and last week they dropped its big season finale, and to say that this show has split the fan base straight down the middle is as big of an understatement as it could possibly be. Now, count yourselves lucky, because I'm not even going to begin talking about the fragile-minded, brain-dead morons who jump on the internet spouting all the bullshit rhetoric that it's a woke show, that it's all part of the MCU, or feeling butthurt because the show explicitly calls out toxic masculinity and incel culture. Also, a spoiler warning, by the way. I should have made that clear from the start. Yeah, we're talking about the whole show, the finale, everything. No, much of the discourse that I was paying more attention to was the quite unimpressive and largely unfinished VFX that we saw from the trailers, and the fact that Marvel is going into a genre which I wasn't entirely sure if it was ever going to work for them. The whole concept of a 30-hour legal comedy. And so now that I am all caught up with the show, do I love She-Hulk? Do I hate She-Hulk? Well, I'm sorry to burst a lot of people's bubbles, but neither. I'm kind of on the fence on this one. As for the character of She-Hulk, I'm a fan. Like, the casting of Tatiana Maslany is so damn spot on. And as for the whole breaking the fourth wall antics, they really worked for me and helped give her character that extra pep to make her stand out as someone that I'm very eager to see where she goes from here. I was also fond of giving Jen this arc about coming to terms with her new powers and the responsibility that comes with them, as well as what that means for her image here on out. It's a shame that that story then got lost as the rest of the series went on and pretty much abandoned by the time we got to the finale, but hey, it got off to a strong start. And like I said, the self-referential attitude that this show had, it was fun. I enjoyed how it explicitly toyed with our own expectations and even poked fun at certain pockets within the fandom. It showed that not even Marvel were above teasing themselves. And Daredevil too. Mwah! It worked. It just worked. Any doubts and fears that I had about transitioning Charlie Cox's Daredevil into the MCU properly this time round, I needn't have worried. I mean, yeah, he cracks jokes, but Matt Murdock has always been a wise ass, so this is nothing new, and I'm a big fan of the suit too. Plus, the relationship that he appears to have struck up with Jen was really quite endearing. Their chemistry really worked for me, and it popped on screen. I'm more than happy to see where this goes down the line, and if this is just a hint at what is to come from Daredevil Born Again, this is very promising. So you may be thinking, Luke, you liked the main character, you thought that the essence of the show was fun, and the Daredevil cameo paid off. Then what was wrong? Yes, it's true, they did a brilliant job at introducing She-Hulk into the MCU, which is fundamentally the main thing that this show needed to get right. What it failed at most was giving the character of She-Hulk and Tatiana Maslany the show that they deserve. Going in, I knew the rough format that this show was going to take. I knew that it would be episodic in nature and that it would be doing a case-by-case structure. What I had hoped is that, as well as the case-by-case story going on the surface, we would have an underarching storyline that would be ebbing and flowing throughout the show, eventually then building to our finale. As well as having a strong selection of supporting characters, both new and familiar, to help elevate the material. She-Hulk Attorney at Law didn't check those boxes for me. There's a lot of setup for potential story arcs, but they're then either just dropped or they're like immediately resolved so that they don't have to address it again. By treating these storylines as such, the show begins to immediately lose any form of consequence. It does eventually build to the presence of intelligentsia working to expose She-Hulk, leaning into that incel culture who have, ironically, fallen hilarious into this show's trap. But that plotline doesn't really make itself known until like the 7th episode, and even then it feels tacked on as if it was like a contractual obligation. In regards to the supporting characters, this really irked me. You've got the likes of Nikki, Jen's best friend, Titania, as well as 2 lawyers, Mallory Book and Pug, all of whom share a significant amount of screen time, and yet besides their name, their occupation, and their relation to Jen, I know next to nothing about them. Even other half-an-hour comedy shows that have a big ensemble, they spend their time on allowing the audience to know the character as well as them be entertained by their jokes. I wouldn't worry about the visual effects too much though. They're far from perfect, but they aren't anywhere near as bad as we might have feared or as some people are making it out to be. They're passable. As from where we go from here, well, that's not clearly defined. The finale divulges into quite a scattershot mess, even admitting itself that not everything paid off, in quite an entertaining yet ultimately fruitless fourth wall break into Marvel Studios headquarters itself. Yes, for those of you wondering, Kevin with the little hat on is a reference to Kevin Feige, who may as well just be the supreme overlord of the MCU. I say may as well be, he is. There are some seeds planted for a potential World War Hulk project as Bruce returns to introduce his son Scar, although, look, can we go back to Hulk being this unstoppable rage monster now? I'm done with the Professor Hulk thing. It didn't really work for me all this time. This isn't who I think Hulk should be. So, all in all, She-Hulk Attorney at Law isn't the flaming dumpster pile that some have been screaming from the doldrums of the internet, nor is it anywhere close to what we know Marvel can be capable of. Behaving solely as an introduction to Tatiana Maslany as Jennifer Walters, it had me on board. She's charming, commands the screen well, and fits snugly into this universe. What lets her down is the majority of stuff she's surrounded by. Incohesive writing that struggle to maintain an identity, and poorly written supporting characters that fail to make even the slightest impact. If someone were to ask me if this show was vital when binging the Marvel Cinematic Universe from beginning to end, at this point in time, I would probably say no. So I'm going to give She-Hulk Attorney at Law a 5.5 out of 10. Anyway guys, those were my thoughts on She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Let me know, have you had a chance to watch all the show yet? What did you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Now my question to you, because we're not yet entirely sure where the character of She-Hulk is going to go from here, I'm going to leave it in your hands. What would you like to see She-Hulk do next within this universe? But that is all we have time for here today, so thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hello, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to click that like button, and if you aren't already, click that subscribe button too.